Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's JamBox. We're here. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. With that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsor. Buddha's Berry, a delicate and earthy green tea. With blends of Roma, Krishna, Vanatulsi, and blackberry leaf, it's a great way to start the day. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. All right, thank you all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary. Make sure to click the link below and go check them out. I guarantee you're going to like it. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
What's up, everybody? My name is Momentum.
Hello.
What's up, bro?
Thank you so much for joining us.
Dude, thanks for having me.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about, where you're from, what you do, give us that Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
I am I also feel like I wear many hats. But primarily I'm a alternative hip hop artist.
Okay.
Out of Vancouver, Washington. Do a lot in Portland as well.
Yeah. They're basically the same musical space. You know what I mean? Like a bridge separates us, but it's a short drive.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And what got you into music initially?
Beginning of life type stuff. I got my first guitar when I was 10.
Okay.
And it was a gift from my grandpa.
Oh, cool.
And he was a real big music buff. Every time I went over there, he was playing guitar.
Yeah.
And it was just so interesting to me. Prior to that, I'd also been in band in middle school. I did choir. I started in preschool.
I was going to say that elementary choir.
Yeah. And so, I've been involved with music for quite a while. I've been around it for a really long time. Mm-hmm. And when I got my first guitar, I was just over the moon about it. I could not stop playing it. You know? And it eventually led me to, writing my own music, really.
Yeah. Do you still have your first guitar?
No, I don't. I broke it.
Oh, no. Intentionally or accidentally?
On a camping trip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hey, and not everybody has their first instrument, but I think that's part of the lore. You know what I mean? That just, you gotta have your first one, but they don't always have to last.
Hey, it looks like my first one, so.
Fair.
My new one.
Oh, perfect. And then I guess, so was your grandpa a big guitar player?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, huge one. He still plays.
Nice.
Still plays.
Hell yeah. What about, is anybody else in your family very musical?
Not really, but everyone's a big fan of music.
Gotcha.
In some way.
So the musical artist kind of skipped a generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. Everyone became what you would call, I hate this word, but consumers.
Yeah. No, they're connoisseurs.
Yes. There you go. That's the word.
They're music aficionados.
Yes. Yeah. And, it always just fascinated me from a young age, just how people created music.
Yeah.
It was just very mysterious thing for me.
No, totally. I mean, that's the point of this show, is to kind of dig into how people go about that.
Yeah.
I fully agree with you on that.
Sweet.
And I guess I'm curious to know then, what was some of the earliest music you remember hearing? Going way back, what were those first ear tickle songs that made you appreciate it? I
remember driving, I was 3 or 4. This is crazy. Wow, I haven't thought about this in forever. My mom was driving us somewhere, me and my little brother, and I fell asleep in the car listening to Savage Garden.
Nice.
I don't know if you know who they are.
Yep.
That's crazy. Yes. And then Nickelback was really big for me when I was younger. Mm-hmm. Went to my first concert when I was 9.
I've always heard that Nickelback concerts are way more wild than the music itself.
From what I remember, I think we left a good 20 minutes early.
That's smart.
Before it ended, because I was 9.
Yeah,
I was tired and falling asleep. But
that and the getting out of there traffic was probably going to be wild.
Yeah, it was rough. It's always rough. But yeah, and so, and then my dad raised me on Metallica, AC/DC, Def Leppard, Like all the old Alice in Chains,
Yeah.
Slayer eventually, and Megadeth.
There we go.
Actually became a really big influence for me playing guitar.
That was one of my like early like heavier genre sounds with Symphony of Destruction.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I found it in my dad's CD tower, and he was like, "I don't know where that came from," and I'm like, "Sure you don't."
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, that was that. I mean, then I found out later about the whole crossover between like his stint in Metallica and how that was a whole thing. And now I think he's a born again Christian, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But getting back to you, sorry, Dave. These next couple of questions are ones we check in with everybody on. And this first one is one we ask early. It's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
Oh my gosh. I'm pretty sure it was Slipknot. It was their Subliminal Verses Volume 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just skip past 1 and 2?
Yeah. Well, I'd been introduced to Slipknot shortly after. I was like 10, so it was like right after. It's a weird jump between Nickelback and then just suddenly Slipknot.
I know a lot of people who are fans of both, so there may be a connection in there somewhere.
Hopefully.
Oh, yeah. But what made you want to buy that album?
My stepdad was a really big Slipknot fan, and my mom had just gotten into like Avenged Sevenfold.
Okay,
all like alternative metal.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I got some birthday money, and I was at my dad's, and my dad's never really been a huge like crazy screamo thrash metal type.
Yeah,
like that's what he refers to it as, like screamo.
Yep.
But I remember I got some birthday money, and he took me to the store, and he was like, let's just go buy you whatever you want. And I was like, I kind of want a CD, because like this is back when like the little CD players, like the little like headphones with.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he took me there.
The anti-skip technology that totally worked.
Yeah. I was really obsessed with the song Duality.
Okay.
At the time, I loved it. It was like one of my favorite songs. And Before I Forget too. And I saw Walmart had the album.
Mm-hmm.
And I just went, oh my God, it has like my favorite songs on it. And so I grabbed it.
Perfect. Yeah. Hey, that's the best way to go about it. And I mean, if they're going to buy you anything, you might as well get something that they're allowed to buy you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure if you just walked in by yourself at 10, they would have been like, nah, kid, you got to go.
It was the edited version, if that makes sense.
Okay.
It's Walmart,
Oh, yeah.
They can't sell like explicit
I think they have
content.
Uncensored version. No, don't quote me on that. I don't buy my music from Walmart.
I don't anymore.
Yeah, that's... Somebody put that in the comments if you ever bought an unedited version of an album from Walmart back in the day.
Yeah, let me know.
That's fun to know.
And shout out the Walmart choir CDs that they do. You remember that?
Oh yeah, you would push it and they like the ones where it's like they just had like choir music, or whether there an actual Walmart.
No, there was an actual Walmart choir and they had CDs.
I did not know.
Yeah,
that.
It was crazy, dude.
Holy shit!
Yeah, they did like a bunch of Christmas carols one time. I was like,
let's see that. I guess that doesn't really make sense. I guess I can believe it. That kind of blows my mind. Walmart choir. If you want to be on the show,
yeah,
come be a guest. All of you. I will figure it out. All right, but. The next question is kind of in the same vein, but what was the first live show you ever went to? That was like one you wanted to go to. So you saw a show was happening, you got tickets, you went to it.
Oh, it was actually a local band that my mom was the manager of. This was like 2016, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like, you're talking like my personal preference.
Yeah, so like you saw a show was happening and you were like, I'm going to buy a ticket and go to this.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I was 15 and my mom was the manager of this band called Within Sight. They were like a really big local metal band around here.
I think they've been mentioned on another episode before, but don't quote me on that.
They might have. They're Bury Your Burdens now, actually.
Oh, shit. Okay. Hell yeah.
I got to rep it. I love those guys. They're family. But yeah, I was like 15. I was just starting to get introduced to the local scene around here. Mm-hmm. And one of my friends had never been to a concert ever once in his life. And like I said, we were 15. So
yeah.
What?
I mean, I guess the first one I went to was 16. So I don't know why.
Okay.
Whoa, that's super on brand.
Well, yeah, my mom was talking about the show. I was like, hey, we should take my buddy Tyler. He's never been to a show. And it was an all ages show. Mm-hmm. So I could go. And, so yeah, she got us tickets and we went and it was a blast, man.
Nice.
I can't remember the other bands that were there. off the top of my head, but they had a couple of really dope openers that were also local.
Oh yeah.
And they came out and just shredded.
Oh, I believe it.
Oh my gosh.
You
The
know,
mosh pits were always so sick.
say what you will about all age shows, they bring a different energy because everybody's going to be just a little bit more respectful, but at the same time they got a show for the youth, you know what I mean? So like they're still going to get tough, they're still going to get heavy, but at the same time they're not going to be like kill that person over there. Like there's something to be said for it. So it's an experience in its own way.
Yeah.
Hell
It
yeah.
was incredible. It was a lot of fun.
Hell yeah. And then before we move on to the middle portion where we focus more on what's going on in the current day, do you have a defining moment where you decided that like music was the thing you wanted to do for sure?
Oh man, we're about to go deep. Yeah, man, actually I was about 17. And about a year earlier, I some crazy stuff happened and I ended up homeless when I was 16. Kinda, I was like bouncing around for a minute.
Yeah.
And I lived with my buddy. At the time I was sleeping in, they actually made a room for me, actually. That was really cool. Him and his mom, and they all kind of took me in. And he got me into rap.
Okay.
I was like I said, I was like 15, 16.
Yeah. And you'd only been raised on like people who like played instruments and loved music.
Loved metal and rock and hardcore. And so I never really got too big into it, into rap and stuff. And he was a huge buff. And he showed me all of the greats like Kendrick, J. Cole. Shout out you guys. You guys don't need shout outs, but shout out anyways.
They're definitely not beefing right now.
Yeah. Nope, definitely not.
No, but by the time this comes out, there will be no beef.
Yeah. But anyway, so about a year later, I was addicted to meth for probably a good couple years after that. And I ended up homeless. They found out, it was a whole bad thing. They were not cool with that stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just being crazy, crazy tweaker, 17-year-old kid, very troubled. And I ended up moving up north with my best friend, Jesse. Shout out Jesse Brown. And he helped me get clean. And while I was up there, the only thing that kind of kept me from driving myself crazy, because he was the only guy I had to talk to. They lived way out of town in a small town called Napavine. It was a super small town, way out of town. So it was like really secluded. And there was just I have things in my head sometimes I just can't really talk to people about. It's hard for me to put it into words.
Yeah.
I was walking down the road to go into town one day, and I was writing a song. I found a beat on SoundCloud.
Hell yeah.
And I was writing lyrics to it because I'd been writing lyrics for like a solid year. And I went, this is really helping.
Nice.
It was like one of those things where I was just like, I feel like I understand what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah.
Whereas beforehand, it was all like jumbled and crazy. And then, I went down and I was rehearsing it and practicing it, and memorizing it. And it felt natural, felt real. And it felt like one of the first songs I'd ever written that actually really had something worth sharing.
Yeah.
And I went, wow, people could really benefit from hearing this, maybe. And so I went down to Vancouver, came back down here to Vancouver for my birthday, and I performed that song at my birthday party.
Nice.
And it was like in front of a bunch of people. And everybody just reacted in such a crazy way. It was the first time I'd ever had anybody react to something that I'd created like that.
Yeah.
It was really cool. And I went, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Damn. That's a really powerful moment. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, now let's go ahead and see what you've done with it. And we're going to talk about you in the current day.
Sweet.
We're going to get a super easy one out of the way. How'd you pick the name?
It actually, I didn't pick it at first.
Okay.
Well, in a way. So I was in this small little group with Matty Puff. Shout out Matty Puff. I'm not going to name the group just because, I had a falling out with the guy and really doesn't deserve that much recognition. No offense, but yeah. And so I was originally psycho because I was like, when I was a kid, I was like crazy, high energy.
Yeah.
And I was on drugs, so it didn't make it any better. And I was obsessed with Borderlands, the game at the time.
Yep.
Yeah. And I loved that game. And I really loved the psychos on that, and so I just named myself Psycho after those. And then it stuck for a second. but after a while, it just felt kind of weird, you know, and like I was evolving and getting better, writing more consistently.
Yeah.
It just did not feel like the type of vibe I was going for anymore. You know, I wasn't chaotic and weird anymore. You know, I'm still weird.
Having listened to some of your music, it wouldn't have been branded right if you were psycho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But people would listen to my songs, right? And especially Matty Puff. And he would notice that there was a trend happening. So I'd kind of start out a little slower in the beginning of the song.
Mhm.
It was almost like I'm like
I see where this is
gearing up,
going. Yep.
right?
Yep.
And then middle of the song, it starts going crazy. And then by the end of the song, you're like, what did you just write, dude? And and I remember he said, somebody said, I can't remember if it was him or not. And this sucks because like this literally defined my name, but somebody literally said like, dude, you carry so much momentum throughout your songs.
Boom. Yep.
And it just stuck, that word, momentum. I was like, wow, yeah, I guess I do have like, and I was like going back and listening to all my stuff, and I was like, I think we're onto something here. And I broke it to everybody, and they, you know, they were like, that's fitting. And so everybody we all just kind of adopted momentum for me, you know.
Hey, I mean, it makes sense. And I like I said, listening to some of your music, it's definitely more on brand.
Yeah.
Also, it's a very good name. Like I do this bit where I break down everybody's name, and just the shape of it works really well. The multiple M's are like, they just go a long way. You could do a lot with that. Like the smoothness of how there's not a lot of like jutting up letters. It's got a good shape to it, and it's super easy to remember.
It is.
That is like, across the board, that is the most important thing in a name, as long as there isn't like 80 people who have the same one. Like that's always the first thing, is make sure people can find you on Spotify. Second thing is make sure it's easy to remember. And you definitely nail it. I think there's only one other Momentum, and their music sucks.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Other Momentum, I didn't listen to it. I was just making a joke. But
yeah, well, actually, I noticed there's a couple. When I was uploading my music, there was a couple. And so I had to put mine all caps. So it originally wasn't all caps.
Okay.
Yeah. And then,
That's a good distinguisher.
Yeah. And so remember, it's all caps. Momentum, all caps.
True. You could always do like a V instead of the U if you really wanted to spice it up. You could be that guy.
I could.
But you don't have to. It's easy to find you.
I'm all about proper English.
Yes. Yeah. Like there's a punctuation mark at the end.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's all caps, so exclamation.
Oh, true. No, it's just Momentum. All right, but I think we've broken down your name enough. Let's go ahead and get on into your writing style.
Okay.
And we're going to break it up into chunks, but we're going to start right at the beginning. So when you get inspired, you're ready to make some music. What are some of the things you do to get a track started?
Well, usually, if I didn't have just a random line come up into my head, you know, and usually I'll just listen to a beat. You know, and I use BeatStars quite frequently. Yeah. It's a really good app. You find millions of beats on there, and you can type in all kinds of different kinds, and then you can buy them right there. So I think that's great, right? So I'll go on, I'll surf BeatStars for a while, or I'll look through whatever some of my friends or other producers send me. And, you know, I'll find a song that's kind of matching the vibe that I'm feeling in that current moment, or something that's been on my mind, you know? And I know it's like a weird thing, like the vibe, but
no, it's kind of the whole foundation for anything.
That's true. It's the vibe. You know, and I'll listen to that to the music, and eventually something will start flowing. Something will just come to me. You know, and it's usually like the first couple of lines of a chorus, or in some cases, you know, a whole verse. You know, I'll just sit down, and sometimes I can write a verse in like 10 minutes. Or I can write a whole song in like 10, 15 minutes. And then other times, I mean, I have songs that are still unfinished that I'm still trying to work on that I wrote years ago. Yeah. You know? Yeah, no. That still encapsulate a lot of important things in my life. And so I come back and visit a lot, you know? And so. Totally. But yeah, you know, it's really just kind of just how I'm feeling at the moment, or if I've just got something weighing on me.
And do you freestyle? Do you pen and paper? Do you?
No. I try to freestyle. But my brain moves like 5,000 miles per hour, and my mouth can only move so fast.
Gotcha.
You know, your mind is formless in a sense. And sometimes words can be, and my mouth just cannot keep up with the way that my brain thinks, you know? So I definitely understand that. Yeah. I definitely understand that. Yeah. And so I just can't freestyle. So I'm always pen to pad, but I'm really quick with it. Years of doing it kind of does that to you.
No, totally. It's one of those things where it's like seeing it to a degree. You can kind of imagine what comes next because you're not trying to remember what came before it.
Yes, exactly. That's the other key. I've noticed a lot of people fall off track when they're doing freestyles because they just forgot what the rhymes was.
Or they're just trying to attach like the first sentence to the second sentence. Kind of thing. So, but there's not a wrong way to do it. You know what I mean? I think like I've said on many episodes before, I've heard people who are just the nastiest freestylers. I've heard people who are just as nasty with the pen. Like at the end of the day, the end result is really kind of how it goes. And I mean, in a way, I think it's helpful because you can show up in the studio ready to go. You know what I mean? Like you just show up with, you're like, I got this. I'm going to one take it right now. And you get that periodic page turn. That iconic little whoosh. Yep.
So I type.
Yeah, I know everybody.
I have to, bro. I mean, so my final stuff, I'll write in a journal.
Okay.
And I'll keep it there. But my like first draft stuff and just on the fly, it's always on my notepad.
See, I was always the opposite way when it came to like coming up with ideas because I couldn't like delete stuff quick enough or like get back to a line before. So I'd always just double space. Like I'd do a line and then skip one and then do one and then go back and like write in the margin I had created for like, that was always kind of, but because I had like, my handwriting is trash, so the final version would end up on the phone because it was legible.
Right.
But for me, it was always the opposite. I always had to go on the paper first because I could just jump back to anything, not have to like search with my thumb.
That's crazy.
But also my eyes are trash, so those little tiny words didn't work when I was trying to think of stuff.
Right.
But hey, as long as it works for you.
Yeah.
And then once you get a track finished, so done writing, it doesn't have to be out and released and things like that. But how long does it usually take you to get comfortable from the point of finished writing to being able to perform it?
Well, because of my writing process, so I basically memorize it as I'm writing it.
Yep.
Because I'm going back over it over and over and over. And I'll sit there and I'll rewind the beat like 50 freaking times before I can finally get the next line perfect.
Yeah, so those little nuances in the beat and everything. You're like, when the bass doesn't happen in this one spot for this one moment, that's where I say this line.
Exactly, yeah. And, and so I basically, I memorize it as I go for the most part. Mm-hmm. When I get into more intricate, like, especially like when I'm rapping, which, I mean, I haven't been doing a whole lot lately, but, I'm sure you heard on Universe, there's a lot of rap on that album.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's definitely got a broad variety of sound.
Yeah. Yeah, but when it gets more intricate and I'm doing really fast stuff and like I'm like really just digging deep into it, I definitely got to rehearse it a few times. But I can usually be ready within the day.
Okay,
and go and perform it.
Hell yeah.
Sometimes not perfectly.
No, I mean, like, I always think everybody should give it a week, but that's, that's just me. I'm not good at memorizing anything lyrically. I'm more of a bass player nowadays, or just in general, that was my foundation. But like, I think if you give anybody a week who's like really into it, they're going to have it solid by then for sure.
Well, I think I might have like an edge on a lot of the people I've seen, at least, when it comes to their memorizing process, because I was a theater kid for about 7 years. Oh,
so you had to just because of scripts and things like that.
I did it in school, outside of school.
Yep.
I was all over it. I loved theater. I loved being on stage. And then right before then, or right after that, is when I really started diving deep into my own art.
Gotcha.
So
yeah. Hell yeah. Well, I mean, actually, that's a super useful tip for anybody who wants to get stronger at it. Do some theater. That's a good idea.
Theater, man.
Hell yeah. I'm going to start recommending that to other people.
Yeah. Or write your own plays.
Yeah.
Or shows.
I could never. The sun sets on another day. It's another day now. And then looking back on, let's say, because we're almost halfway through the year, but let's look at like now to the beginning of 2023, looking backwards. In that time, how did your process change or solidify if it didn't change very much?
It changed a lot, actually. Beginning of 2023 was rough. It was very rough. I was deep in coke, selling it. That was kind of like how I made my living for a while. Allegedly. Yeah. I was doing drugs. I was in that community. I was being just kind of an ass to everybody, I was cheating on my girl. I was just doing all kinds of just messed up stuff, and I was still writing and I was still recording and stuff. And I just met Sontavo. Like right around that
Sontavo.
Yeah, like we did our very first performance together on New Year's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we did a song called "Watching Movies." It's actually the remix to a Mac Miller song.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so we recorded that, and then like the next day we went and performed it at a hotel party. And so after meeting him, I feel like I kind of took a different direction, and he kind of started inspiring me to not be in the life I was, and then, after everything kind of hit the fan, it was like February, I kind of just lost everything and everybody for a minute, except for the music and except for the people I just met, Sontavo. I just met Heaven Sent right around that time too. I think I met him in February. Yeah. Love you, bro. Just met Louis B.
Oh, shout out Louis B. Man,
yeah, man.
Past guest. Hell yeah.
All on the same night.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, not Tavo. I met Tavo prior to that, but and so after I met all of them, I kind of felt a shift in the way I was going about it, and I kind of went from like egotistical, like I'm a rapper type thing to more like humbled and trying to just perfect it and just get it down. I knew I was good, but I didn't think I could get much better until I met them.
Yeah.
And they kind of pushed me in that direction. So yeah, I mean, I'd say my process changed quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
Just in that time.
Started seeing it more as like a craft.
Yeah.
Versus like just like a status.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Well, I mean, I'm sorry to hear the beginning portion of it, but it sounds like you really utilized it in a way that kind of turned things around for you a lot.
Yeah, I think it was a blessing, everything that happened, despite how I was feeling throughout it, I feel like it did make me stronger,
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. Now, this next one, this is actually, before we do this question, I have a fun question I've started to ask people recently, but I want to talk about some of your more recent music.
Okay.
So I know you just put out a track called Lover not too long ago with Brianna DePiro. Am I saying that right?
Yes,
yeah,
Brianna DePiro.
And Heaven Sent.
Yes.
And it's definitely a quality jam.
Thank you.
But I want to talk about Universe.
Okay.
Because that's an experience.
Okay.
Like, first of all, I mean, it came out in October. It's 56 minutes. Like, that is a sturdy album.
It's there.
It's not because you had one like 12-minute track. You know what I mean? They're all like full-length songs. There's a bunch of different sounds in it. Like, if I had to pick I always try to pick a personal choice. I had to pick two.
Okay.
I had to go with either Love It or The Ledge.
Oh, man.
And both of the like, I really enjoyed both of those tracks.
Thank you, man. That means a lot.
Yeah, and like I tend to lean towards more like musically cadenced things. Like, that's just kind of my vibe in general. Yeah. So those two hit the spot for sure. But I would definitely be curious to know, what is your favorite track to perform of yours?
Ooh, I'll just like off that.
I mean, just you can go with anyone, but we're gonna say both. So, what's your favorite track off that album, and what's your favorite track to perform in general?
So I'd say my favorite track to perform off my album, my God, there's 17 of them.
Yeah, and it's very diverse.
Yeah.
It's very diverse. Like, there's so many moods and moments. And there is a lot of momentum all the way through it. But it the whole time I was listening to it, I kept like trying to be like, oh, well, this one would be good for this vibe. This one would be good for that vibe. Like, I kept.
That was the plan.
Yeah. I mean, there were moments where I was like, well, maybe I'll just pick a third. No, I gotta keep it to two.
Gotta keep it simple.
Keep it to two. But it's definitely an enjoyable album.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Man, my favorite song ever to perform off that one, if it's not Paid, because that's my most streamed song right now. I think it would be Celebrate.
Okay. Hell yeah.
The last song on that album. And the biggest reason is because the hook is so easy for everybody to get. It's just one of those like it's like ear candy.
Yep.
And just the la na 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 na. I get the whole crowd doing that. We'll all like wave our hands, and I'll just be like la na 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 na, and then everyone will be like la na 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 na. And
some of y'all just did it right now.
And also Louis B. That was he'd come to me with a bunch of songs, like 2 or 3 songs, I guess. But before I presented him with the opportunity to be on my album, I was like, dude, I love that you're having me on all your stuff, man. This is dope. I want you on my album. And I've wrote this song and I can't finish it, bro. I don't know what else to do for the second verse. I think I'm tapped, bro. Can you help me out? And I sent him the beat and he's like, I got you.
Yep.
And he just slayed that. Oh my gosh, dude. Like, I loved what he did on that. And his creativity is just his energy overall is just berserk.
Yeah.
I love it. And so, yeah, that song right there, that's my favorite one to perform ever.
Do you save that as like a closing song? Do you do it in the beginning? Like where's that land in the set usually?
Sometimes. So sometimes I don't even do it, but
well, you gotta have some on rotation.
Yeah.
But like when you perform that one.
When I perform it, it's usually on like a special occasion.
Okay. That makes sense.
Or if it's like a real big show.
Mm-hmm.
Then I know that that's a crowd pleaser. People love that song, so I'll put it in the set somewhere. But usually it's on a special occasion, and I'll use that occasion to introduce the song. I'll be like, oh, like last time I did, I think it was Martial Law's birthday, and we did it at Mighty Mo's, and I was like, yo, there's one thing I'm here to do tonight. It's celebrate, and then dude,
hell yeah,
came on,
yep,
and it was dope. So I feel like that's like the perfect segue to kind of the song.
Hell yeah. No, I love that.
Yeah.
And then I guess do you have a song that you enjoy performing overall?
My newest upcoming single right now. I just need a cover art for it. And so I'm meeting with Maddie Puff here soon to get that done, and it's going to be really cool. But it's called Snow White. And it's about me. It's through the eyes of like somebody leaving an abusive relationship, but that relationship is with cocaine for me. So I'm talking about drugs, right? But I managed to figure out a way to describe it as more of like a woman, and it only seemed fitting to call it Snow White, and that song is really like bluesy, but it's like really upbeat and jazzy at the same time. And it's really powerful. And it's like, I'm like really singing in that one too. Like I'm really belting and doing all kinds of really cool stuff with my voice. And borderline screaming.
Oh, okay.
So it's really good. Like I get really intense throughout it. And that's like my all-time favorite. Every time I just performed it last night at a waterfront show, just right here in Vancouver.
Oh, hell yeah.
We're promoting our show on 420. And I closed it out. And everybody just gets a kick out of it every time. It's so powerful and moving.
Yeah.
And so everyone just is like awed by it. And it just really, it feels good to sing it. It's like one of my most favorite tracks I've ever written so far.
Oh, yeah. Well, definitely looking forward to it when it finally becomes available to all of us on everything.
Yeah.
And do you play guitar in any of your tracks?
No, I did play guitar in a track. The very first song I ever did with Heaven Sent at Thirsty Third Thursday over at Bent Beat Studios. Shout out Bent Beat. He was playing bass. I played guitar, and we had his buddy Ryan playing drums, and we just laid down this goofy little riff, and we did a song called Susie Susie.
Okay.
Nobody's ever going to hear it, ever. We all hate that song.
I have a copy of it live.
I have it on me right now. But that's the only time I think I've ever really played an instrument in my own song.
Okay. So, do you have any like aspirations of bringing that back, or is that kind of like you just leave those two worlds separate?
No, I eventually want to move into having doing my music with a whole live band.
Okay,
bringing in drums.
Everybody's starting to move that way, and I'm really appreciative of that. I think for the longest time, nobody wanted to do that route because it was like too difficult to get people in a room. Now everybody's realizing, oh, the live music thing is the vibe.
Yeah, it is.
Like a past guest that was just on Briggsy. Shout out Briggsy.
Nice.
He performs with a full band. Like that's awesome. Like his whole thing.
I love that so much. I was just talking to my buddy Blue Boy Gray last night. Shout out Blue Boy Gray. Love you, bro. He's like a grunge artist. Grunge rap. It's really cool. And he's a drummer. And I was talking to him last night because he performed last night. And I was like, dude, I need a drummer.
Yep.
I'm going to start doing live shows like legit.
Hell yeah.
I want a band.
Hell yeah.
And he was like, yeah, dude. So I already got a drummer.
There you go. You're halfway there.
Yeah.
Technically, you could do it with just a drummer, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out 21 Pilots.
Oh, yeah. They do that, don't
they? Do that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. All right, now for this next question, we've dived all the way into your music. We've like looked at all the parts and all the bits, but I want to take a step back. I want to zoom out, and we're going to look at kind of music as a whole. What are some things about current music that's happening right now that you enjoy?
I'm really partial to like originality, and I feel like that's a really cliche thing to say, but my reasoning behind that is because I feel like everybody uses their inspirations. I wouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people use their inspirations too heavily. Like, it almost feels like some people are just trying to like be their inspirations.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, go for it.
I think
look up to the person enough.
There's a space in the beginning where when everybody's starting out in music, they can only go off of what they're experiencing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that if you use that, it's best if one uses that as a foundation to build their own stuff on top of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I've noticed in a lot of, and I mean, this even mainstream music, they don't move on from it.
Yeah.
They're just kind of like, oh, this is working. Okay, cool. I'm going to keep doing this. Right?
Yeah.
They don't evolve, or like try and push their knowledge of what they're doing. Like they usually just kind of not usually, but in some cases I've noticed. And so what I'm really big on is originality. Is this really you? Or like, did it really come from you? And it doesn't matter what type of genre. If it's really you, I'll love it 110%.
Yeah.
No matter what. So that's really what I look for. And also just like, is it catchy? Can I memorize it? Can I sing it with you?
So it's got to be original, but it's still got to be ear tickling.
Yeah. Like be tasteful with it.
No, I could dig that. All right. Now, before we move into the next group of questions, the next question, which you talked about this as your like first, like the moment you decided to take it seriously. So I'm excited to see how it's evolved since then. But we've talked a lot about, your experience with music, the actions, the reactions, things like that. But when it's just you and music one-on-one now, what does music give back to you?
It used to be like therapy, and I guess in a way it still is. Like, it used to be like my counselor. I feel like I was writing in a journal at the end of the day, just being like, okay, this is kind of how my day went.
I mean, you literally do write your final version.
I do.
Yeah,
I do. But now it just keeps driving the nail of hope into my theoretical coffin. Just hope. It really does, man. It keeps me inspired to just keep creating, and it's almost kind of like, in a way, I don't even know. It's almost just like looking forward to it at the end of the day. Or man, I'm like tripping over words right now. Give me 1 second here.
No, you're good.
What I've noticed what it really does for me the most is it almost gives me like a relief.
Yeah, it's like that glass of wine at the end of the day.
Yeah,
thing.
It's just like one thing I look forward to doing.
Yeah,
the most. Aside from spending time with my family. Me and my fiance just had our baby girl, and then we also have our son. But so I love spending time with them. But what I really look forward to doing is sitting down with myself.
Yeah,
and self-reflecting, and it just keeps driving that hope into what I'm doing. And I'm just like, I know one day, this is going to take me somewhere I never thought it could take me. And, it just keeps me going.
Yeah, no, I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And it's cool. I like how you're like, it's the thing I look forward to at the end of the day. Like that is a really like important thing. I don't think a lot of people realize how useful having that like recurring like release is in as part of your like, you can go out, you can go hiking, you can go do a bunch of things, you can go do a bunch of things, but to be able to come home and find peace in yourself, in your space, that's something that's super important. Just for, plenty of like mental health like therapists and things talk about that as something important, but just having that and being able to acknowledge it. That's the other thing, is some people don't even realize they have it because they can't take the time to look at it and go, oh, this is it.
Yeah.
And so being able to acknowledge that, I think, is a really, really healthy mindset and just super good. So I appreciate you for sharing that.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
But now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to some hypothetical questions.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and for these, sky's the limits. The questions are all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well. But this first one's pretty straightforward. If you could work with any one person, the only requirement is they have to be alive.
Okay.
Who would you want to work with, and how would you want to work with them?
Ollie Sykes from Bring Me the Horizon.
Okay. Hell yeah.
In any possible way.
Mhm.
I love that man. He is just another level of insane to me. You know, I mean, just I don't really know a whole lot about who he is, but I know a lot of his music,
Mhm.
and I can just tell. And I've seen some of his interviews too. You know, and
Wait, there are other interviews? No, I'm kidding.
yeah, he's just off the wall, and he's just so talented.
Mhm.
You know, his ideas are just never ending, and his voice is phenomenal. And his band Bring Me the Horizon has inspired my upcoming metal album I've been working.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yes,
Hell yeah.
yeah. I've been working on a metal album, and they're a huge inspiration for that. You know?
I could believe it.
I love that, like, atmospheric.
They have a really cool sound to them. I mean, they've
Yeah.
continued to kind of exist in a space that, like, maybe didn't push the envelope per se, but they didn't, I don't feel like they've ever, like, fallen into the, like, what everybody else does kind of vibe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You know, they love pushing the boundaries.
Mhm.
They love doing things that, like, probably not everybody's gonna like,
Yeah.
but they like it.
Yeah.
You know, and he's feeling it. So fucking send it.
Hell yeah.
You know?
Hell yeah. And then subsequently, who's a local artist that you're aware of that you haven't gotten to connect with yet, but you would like to?
Oh man. I haven't worked with Martial Law yet.
Okay.
I really want to work with Marshall.
Okay. Hell yeah. Let everybody know what to do. Add them in the comments. Let's make that happen.
Do it, man, Marshall. I mean, we've already talked about it. We've talked about it a couple of times, and just like, I don't know. Every time I see this man, every time I hear some of his, I'm just like, man, we would just murder something, bro.
Mhm.
Like, we could just we would make a whole baby, and it would be so cool to work with. Yeah. Momentum Law, Momentum Law. That was our
Hell yeah.
thing.
No, that would be a solid collaboration for sure.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, I'll try and get him on the show and make sure to nudge him in the right direction for you.
Please.
And then for this next one, like I said before, sky's the limit, and it's pretty literal in this sense. But if you could perform anywhere in the world, and you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access or building stability or power, it's guaranteed the best lineup, guaranteed the best show, and it doesn't have to be a venue. It could be anywhere. Anywhere works in this case. Where would you want to perform?
Man, I've always had this idea of, like, parking a real big boat.
Mhm.
Boat. My voice is cracked. Out in, like, a bay somewhere with real big sound equipment, you know,
Okay.
and, like, really loud
Yeah.
shit,
Yeah.
and making everybody listen while I'm, like, floating in international waters.
Mm.
Nobody can do anything. They're like, there's no noise ordinance or anything.
You know, we talked about at least the international waters theory a little while back. I don't know where the line is, but you'd probably, I think it's
That's
a little
probably
further.
some ways
I was
out.
going to say, I think it might be a little too far, but I guess anything works in this case. But
You know,
you know,
like,
how are they going to stop you? It's in the
Yeah.
water.
but just a big boat out in the middle of a bay where there's a lot of people out on the beach where it's real sunny and nice,
Mhm.
and just go absolutely bonkers. You know, just have a great time out there, and have just everyone be like, what did we come to?
I
I
mean,
just came for a relaxing day on the beach, and this guy's screaming into his mic. Oh my gosh.
I mean,
That's
I felt
loud.
like this could be the potential for its own cool, like, festival concept.
Dude,
you know
that's
what I mean?
that was my idea.
And like, you can like have like more expensive tickets be that you can bring your boat out on the water and get closer. You can have two other like medium-sized boats with screens on them.
Dude.
And, you know, boats have their own power. So it's not like you'd have to bring a generator.
Exactly. You know,
And,
that
you know,
was,
you
like,
just
my
bring
idea.
like 4 competition level Suburbans as the subwoofers.
Dude.
And you could even have them on the beach.
Dude, okay.
Okay, hold on. There's actually,
hang on.
Everybody, this just became a Patreon episode because we're going to have to put it behind the... No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But no, hey, there's something to that.
This is copyrighted.
There's something to that.
I'm patenting this. You cannot take this. This is us.
Yes, I'll co-produce this one with you.
Dude, that'd be cool.
Hell yeah. No, that is a super fun idea that now we're going to have to talk about off camera.
Yeah.
But we're going to move on to this last question. And this one, not the same rules as the beginning one. This one, it can be anybody.
Okay.
But if you could get one more album from anybody, they could be alive, they could be dead, they could have put out an album yesterday, they could have not put out an album in 100 years. Who would you want an album from?
Dude, if it's not Kurt Cobain, it's definitely Mac Miller.
Hell yeah.
Mac Miller all the way, man. I'm so sad that he didn't himself get to finish his posthumous album.
Yeah.
You know, Circles was just so beautiful. And I feel like it could have been so much more had he had been around to make sure that happened. But I think it was Rick Rubin was the final producer. Like he was like did all the final touches and everything on it, or oversaw the project or whatnot. I can't remember. It's been a while since.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I apologize.
But you know, he did. I definitely feel like he did it justice. You know, he did it well enough to put it out and make it what it was. But
I mean, from what I know of Rick Rubin, the man has a different type of appreciation for music, for sure.
Yeah,
definitely
absolutely.
A good person if that was the one who did it, to be the one who did it.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I was just so bummed. I was just devastated when I found out Mac died, man. Like it put me in a slump.
Yeah.
And I went through and listened to all his Swimming. It made me appreciate all of his early stuff. And so if I could just get one more solid banger out of anybody, yeah, it'd be Mac.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
R.I.P. Mac.
All right. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping things up. Go ahead and tell us what we can look forward to, say, between now and October.
I am currently working on, it's pretty much all written. I just got to get my features in there. Mm-hmm. My second album.
All right, I'll do it.
Yeah, dude, please. Yeah, it's Universe Part 2. It's called You and Earth.
Nice.
Also 17 songs.
Nice.
Completely different vibes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's like a little bit of rap in there. I think there's like 3 or 4 songs that are rap. Everything else, I mean, I've got EDM.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean like Bass Canyon worthy type EDM. And I've got like lo-fi. I've got acoustic.
You got a cover I've got some bop, I'm sure.
I do have a cover in there.
It just became an 18-track song. No.
Yeah, could know. But no, it's actually a Nirvana remix.
Okay.
I'm doing a Nirvana remix in there. And then, I mean, just, we're all over the wall, like some hard rock in there. I got some of the old features. I got some new ones.
Oh, yeah.
And then before then, I'm releasing 3 singles. Mm-hmm. Snow White is one of them. It's upcoming very soon. I'll have a release date very soon. Just keep an eye on my Instagram. You'll see it. But I have 3 singles coming out, and then I'm dropping it's basically, I'm calling it Back to My Roots. Mm-hmm. And it's like a 4-song EP, and it's all rock covers.
Okay.
I'm covering a Slipknot song.
Nice.
One of their softer ones. Mm-hmm. Doing it with Brianna DePiro.
Hell yeah.
So we're duetting, and it's sounding amazing so far.
Nice.
I'm doing something by Korn, doing something by Highly Suspect, and just to kind of throw y'all through a loop, I'm doing an Ex Ambassadors cover.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, all of that leads up to album 2, You and Earth.
I love that.
So.
I love that. I appreciate the concept of progress in there.
Yeah.
Like you're building momentum.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell yeah. And then for this next one, go and look straight at the camera and tell everybody how they can find you.
You can find me on every single platform that you listen to your local artists or your favorite artists on. And you can also find my Instagram at http:/momentum, all one word. And you can find me on Facebook as well, Momentum Entertainment. And I got to get an X set up soon, a Twitter, so speaking.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, those are all the places you can find me.
And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here?
Yeah, man. Shout out Sontavo. Shout out Heaven Sent. If you haven't heard his album, Tranquil Tantrums, please, for the love of God, go listen to it. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out my beautiful wife. She's been supporting me through it all. Shout out my kids. Shout out my mom. No, yeah, man. I mean, huge shout out to Third Eye Goonies. They've really been putting us on, man. They've really been doing a lot around the city. And so just one more final one to Son Tavo. That's off to you, brother.
Oh yeah. All right, now we've got one last question to go. But before we do, I'm gonna steal the camera for just a second.
Cool.
As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary. Make sure to click the link below and go check them out. Guarantee you're gonna like it. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your interpretation. But what is an album you feel is more on the obscure side of things? So it's a deep cut. It's one not a lot of people would know, but it's one you think everybody should know.
Man, I just shouted it out too, bro. Tranquil Tantrum by Heaven Sent. I'm not even kidding. That album changed my life.
Okay.
When I heard it.
I mean, Heaven Sent was just recently a guest on the show. I can agree with you. It is a quality experience.
My Lord, that album is just incredible, you guys. I mean, it is, I feel like the most underrated local album that's ever been put out around here. Like, seriously, there's so much to it. It's beautiful. He was going through a lot when he wrote it, and you can tell. And he put it into just such beautiful words and beautiful music. He produced and did it all himself. So that's another thing too that I just really admire is he did it all himself.
Yeah, it's a quality experience.
Yeah.
Sure. I feel bad. I was going to wear his shirt for this. I accidentally wore it yesterday.
Oh.
Yeah. It came out on today's episode.
Oh, okay. Well, still, man.
Yeah. I mean, still love to have it on, but I was like, damn, I should have worn it for this one.
Damn.
Shout out to Merritt Wolf, of course. Now I got to make sure I give them credit too. But no, I mean, quality album for sure. That's a super solid rec. If y'all didn't go and listen to it after his episode came out, you should definitely go listen to it right now.
Do it. You will not regret it. There's a song on there that everybody is going to like, I mean, literally one song for every person, I swear.
Hell yeah.
It's incredible.
Now, I rarely ever do this, but when I was listening to your music, I kept getting this ear tickle. I was like, there's this sound that I keep hearing that makes me think of something. I finally figured out what it was. So I'm going to wreck an album now.
Okay.
It's called The Dustyfoot Philosopher by Kanaan. It's spelled K'Naan. And it's like from 2009. It's a super deep cut.
Dude, beautiful.
And he has such a cool cadence. Like he's definitely like a hip hop rap artist of sorts, but I don't know where he's from, but I don't think he's from like here per se, but just a really cool sound. So like I said, I was like, I had to go into the trenches to find that. And I was like, oh my God, I haven't listened to this forever. I love this. So I wanted to put it on here as well.
Dude, absolutely. Yeah, I'll definitely make sure that I give that a listen.
It's a fun experience. But y'all should definitely go check out all of them right after you go and listen to Universe by Momentum. But with that being said, we're going to get up on out of here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It was an honor to be here. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah. And this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's JamBox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Momentum.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap. This is not a podcast. This is a show. Keep jamming.